My name's Vinay Sharma. My role, I'm faculty lead of science and at the Westgate School. Quite a few. I've seen numbers of performances. Breathing Country was the most recent. There's a biometrics one that I've seen. Starfish comes to mind. Organ donation comes to mind. There are numerous ones. Yeah, quite a number. I think the ones that, well, in terms of standing out, the thing that's typical about wide touring performances is how they're able to take scientific issues and put them into a context of drama, and they're understandable. I think that blows me away, the way that can be done so effectively. A particular one that comes to mind was one that was set in the future, and it was to do with genetic engineering and how a young man as a boy saw his sister die of a particular condition. She had the potential to be a brilliant footballer. She died of this condition. He became a genetic engineer and was able to identify this particular gene, and by that process looked in his son's, who was a fetus at the time, found the gene, removed it, but at the same time decided to give his son particular abilities, so his son became a brilliant tennis player. Unfortunately, his son found out. Now, trying to explain that, the do's and don'ts of genetic engineering and why it's a good thing, why it's a bad thing, I could do that in the classroom. I could explain it, but to actually see the performance and how that came over was exceptional. I think it's that very thing of making science real. That these things that we talk about in science are things that are going on in the world. They're not something that's written down in the textbook that someone feels like writing, and teachers feel as though they have to teach them because it's part of a syllabus or a specification. These things are real. The Breathing Country performance and the idea of medical records and the concern that has in terms of that data being made available. Well, the intention is that it's confidential, but actually we know that there are flaws in the system, and Breathing Country brings that out really well. So I think it's making science issues real. That's one thing. I think young people have different learning styles, and in the classroom you can capture particular styles, visual styles, and I think listening skills and so on. But kinesthetic learning is something which is more difficult to capture. Teaching genetic engineering kinesthetically, I couldn't imagine how to do that. And yet there is wide touring who are producing these kinds of things over and over again. And we as a school are really keen to be involved in the kinds of things that wide touring are doing, because it just unpacks science issues for young people really effectively. I think that there are several things. One, not being in a science lesson and listening to me droning on or watching a video or whatever that might be. I think but that's one side of it. I think watching people perform, actors and actresses, and I think the significant thing about wide touring is the quality of the acting. So you're seeing professionals. So our pupils not only kind of escape a science lesson, but they're able to be entertained by brilliant actors and actresses. And at the same time, I think are seeing a scientific issue come to life. I think those things make science so accessible. And I think that's the whole issue about science. Sometimes some of these things seem so kind of separate from where we're at, and yet I think wide touring can make these things real. Yes, I understand. In terms of what it is that's offered, we have had individuals into school, and they come delivering either something which is scientific, or we have, for example, actors that come in and act like Albert Einstein, or come in and act Isaac Newton. But that can get a bit tiresome. You know, you see Albert Einstein every year, and you know, there's nothing different about it. A group come in to do something which is scientific, and they present these things with, you know, crazy equipment, and it looks good. But I think what Why Touring does is it is able to make things real, rather than it be a knowledge-based thing which people are looking at and taking on board, or it be an actor that's standing in front of them who's the same every time. Why Touring brings something new each time, and brings and as at the same time, I keep saying this, it makes the science accessible but real. Yeah, and not just about knowledge. I think the realistic aspect is it often relates it to people's lives. That the performances are set in a particular context, and those contexts are real life contexts. You know, it could be my daughter, for example, and so you can then relate to it rather than it be just something out there. I've thought about one word to describe Why Touring, and words like outstanding, brilliant, inventive will come to mind. But something else, and it's not just one word, but a word that, but like a statement, that you're consistently reliably good. I can be guaranteed that if we invite Why Touring, that what you're going to be presenting will be engaging, will be stimulating, will be inventive, challenging, and I can guarantee that for every performance that I've seen Why Touring bring to the Westgate. I can say that for each of them. We do have to be careful about what comes into school. You know, there are numbers of bodies that want to come into school and present whatever it is that they want to present. And you know, you have to look for references because you hesitate. I have no hesitation when Why Touring contact me and say, Vinay, we've got this, what do you think? Yeah, so I'm not reluctant to invite you at all.